Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, as we're hopping into first game here between Ninetale Fox, Onyx, and Fever. We apologize for the delay. We were having some issues with one of the players on Ninetale Fox, Onyx. Because of these delays, though, they are going to be losing their first 3 bans in the first game here. So there is going to be a little bit of a punishment on that one, unfortunately, for Ninetale Fox. We'll just have to roll with the punches and see what they're going to be able to do. But we are getting started into the first draft here. We're just waiting through the time selection on that first round of bans here before we really get started.
Yeah, since there is no option to no ban in this draft client, we are unfortunately going to have to wait out the entire timer for every single ban. So that will be quite a long draft there for Nine-Tailed Fox just on their bans. But I mean, losing their first 3 bans is a lot better than having to FF game 1, which they were unfortunately very close to having to do.
Yeah, it was a little close for comfort there, but I am super excited that we're going to be able to bring general. I always much prefer just having the games being played, even if you lose bans, rather than not being able to see what happens, because you never know what's going to happen. At least going into the game and being able to play means that you have an opportunity. Albeit being at a disadvantage, but it's better than not being able to play.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think I might have, but has the draft started? I don't know.
Looks like it has. I would think it did, but
Oh.
apparently something is going on. We just got notified by production that they're having a bit of an issue with the LOL draft right now, so we're getting that figured out at the exact moment. We're going to pull up a new draft that is going to get started for you guys in a second here. So before this draft gets started, though, ooh,
There,
looks like we finally have it
there
going
it is.
here.
All right.
I'm super excited for these games. I want to talk about a couple of the players, though, coming in for Ninetale Fox Onyx. We do have a couple of subs being used here. In particular, their top laner is going to be Laurie, coming in, Plat 3 mid laner, who plays a lot of Cassiopeia. I'm expecting to see this taken away by Fever here. I'm also kind of expecting to see the Bard taken away. Do you believe that Ninetale Fox Onyx has a Bard player? No, actually they don't. They have an Alistar player. It's everybody else. Aventus, Ninetale Fox Onyx. I mix those two up all the time.
Nah, I mean, if they did have a bard player, then it'd be pretty easy, right? But unfortunately, it's not a bard. Alistar is still pretty fun though, so you do get to have that cowbell.
I just got notified by production, though, that it is going to be Laurie mid, so the Cassiopeia ban here making extra sense. And then they're going to have a new sub as well, Hydromaster, coming in for top lane, and then their original mid laner, Popo, is going to be going into the jungle for this series. So everything's kind of getting switched up here for Ninetale Fox Onyx. It should be an exciting series. A lot of people see this as a disadvantage. I always like to view these opportunities as a way of making sure that your opponents are unprepared for drafts specifically versus your team, especially when you have somebody with a different style of playing the game. You can look at their reviews, you can look at the VODs, but when you have new players coming in, it makes it a lot harder for them to be able to figure out their exact play style. However, that does come with the disadvantage of not having the same synergy as the main roster.
I was gonna agree with you there. It's like, if you don't know what you're doing, then the enemy team doesn't know what you're doing, and that makes it very hard to predict, right? So it's like, all right, we have finished the first 3 no bans now, so it is hopefully gonna be able to speed draft up a little quicker now. So we're hopefully gonna see a Morgana is unbanned, so perhaps the Morgana be one that is so classic on this patch.
The Morgana would be a very spicy, pretty typical pick to be put in here. I personally would like to see something just like the Tristana getting locked in here. I don't think that Morgana is super impactful in the jungle anymore. She's been nerfed a couple of times, and then this upcoming patch, I think she's getting nerfed even more. So that flex pick has really died down in its versatility. Something like the Tristana, though, is still quite strong, both mid and bottom side of the map, and it does open up an opportunity for that Morgana or any other AP jungler to be locked in here for Ninetale Fox if they wanted it.
Yeah, and there's going to be the Morgana pick for Fever. And I mean, again, another really classic pick for this patch would be that Rumble in the jungle that we have seen so much in MSI, so much in even Excellency here. So it's like, they didn't pick Rumble on Fever. So it is a potential pick here with the Tristana, and it looks like it is actually going to be an Orianna from mid lane.
Yeah, having to pick up that Orianna there is going to be for the mid lane of Ninetale Fox Onyx, with the Cassiopeia gone, Orianna the next comfortable pick. Unfortunately, this does kind of pigeonhole the Tristana into the bottom side of the map for Ninetale Fox Onyx. However, it's a fairly standard composition coming in here from Ninetale Fox, and I like to see kind of these classic teamfight compositions coming in for a team that has to be using subs.
Yeah, and I mean Tristana into Xayah, that's a very, very strong early game ADC, as well as into the mid game a little bit, into like a ADC that is trying to scale. Xayah does not have the strongest laning phase, especially into a Tristana. And I mean, assuming that it is Morgana jungle and or mid and not support, that's gonna probably be seeing a Rakan Xayah lock-in. I like that.
It is going to be showing the Rakan support, which means the Morgana could be going mid or jungle here. I figured that the Morgana was going jungle from the beginning. That's just what we typically see these days with those tormented soil clears, just insanely fast. Now I really want to see where Ninetale Fox Onyx is going to be putting their priority. Here's a great opportunity for them to be able to try and pinch the mid lane pool, since they did lock in the Orianna already. However, they're going to be banning out the Shen. On the opposite side though, with Morgana being locked in for Fever, that means they get an opportunity to try and ban out some of these junglers. Jin Zhao taken off the board first. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like the Rek'Sai being taken off the board either, but it looks like it is going to be the Garen taken away from Fever instead.
I mean, they're scared of the Garen. You gotta be scared of him. I mean, he is a very, very powerful. I mean, I don't want to say easy champ, but I want to say easy champ. It's like you press Q, you press R, they're dead. Especially if you take Ignite, it's not fun at all with the silence and the speed up from Strikebreaker that he usually builds.
It is one of those weird champions that everyone thinks is a bit on the weak side, or is a bit of a newbie champion, but his stats honestly go really underrated here. His Victor being the last ban though, moving into the second round of picks, Diana instantly locked in for Fever. So once again, another one of those champions that can kind of be flexed between jungle and mid. I do think that the Diana is going to be going mid here. I think it just has much more dueling potential into the Orianna, and it's going to have a better time facing off against the regular control mages than Morgana will. Morgana would just end up being a shove out the lane and then go back to base or look for a roam timer, whereas the Diana can actually look to go toe-to-toe with this Orianna.
I'm really looking forward to this Morgana with the Rakan, with the Diana, the spell shield on these hard engaged champs. Ooh, and the Aurelia hover as well. That would be very, very good with the black shield from Morgana. I mean, when you're able to go in and not be concerned with the CC to stop you from getting back out safely, that's just really a nice, easy engage, especially with the Xayah and Morgana, and potentially Aurelia follow-up damage.
The part that confuses me the most here, though, is Ninetale Fox Onyx are running Gwen and Maokai as their last two picks, and the question is, who's going into the jungle? Is this going to be the Gwen jungle, or is this going to be the Maokai? I would typically think that it's going to be Gwen jungle, champion we haven't gotten to see up until now being locked in. And this is going to be piloted, remember, by the mid lane of Ninetale Fox Onyx, and if I remember correctly, he does have quite a number of games on this champion. He hasn't been able to pull it out just until recently because of the bans on the competitive play for Gwen. But seeing this new champion in the jungle is super exciting, and I'm really, really curious how they're going to be able to try and pilot this new pick in the jungle.
I myself haven't seen Gwen jungle very much oftenly picked, but I mean, as far as I know, I'm pretty sure it's weaker than the Gwen mid lane, which, I mean, if they are a Gwen mid player, then they probably do know Gwen combos and Gwen damage very well at this point, as she has been out for enough weeks now to know how she's played, how to play around her, all of that good stuff. So it's like, if you do have that macro or micro even on Gwen, I'm pretty sure you can probably pilot her in the jungle pretty well.
It's one of those weird champions that, again, like bringing in new players on your roster, having those people, those new subs coming in to fill those slots, when you're pulling out a new champion that somebody doesn't have a whole lot of competitive experience against, it provides the same level of, well, I don't know what I'm doing, but nor do you. So if you have that advantage of having somebody who knows how to play the newer champions, that spent time learning their combos and understanding their damage, it makes it even more of a surprise. So honestly, coming into this game, I have no idea what to expect coming out of Ninetale Fox Onyx.
I mean, they do have a really good wombo combo here, which is slightly lesser known than Diana Yasuo, but I mean, you've got the Leona Orianna. If you're able to hit that shockwave into Solar Flare, that's just the entire team is just dead because of how much damage, especially Orianna can do with the Tristana bomb, with the Maokai follow up, and then assuming that Gwen is not an awful jungler and she is actually good, which is yet to be determined in this game. I mean, I'm hoping that she can also bring out that follow up damage as well.
I've played, count 'em, 1 game of Gwen jungle myself. Your early game clear is extremely slow, and that's about as much as I can give you. Your game patterns, however, aren't too bad. You do have access to that dash, and as you start to level it up more, it gets better and better, because not only is it an early game dash that you have access to, but it also grants attack speed. So once you've put a couple of points into your E, into that dash, then Gwen starts to pick up the speed. She just struggles a little bit more with the likes of the Raptors or the Krugs. These AoE camps, really, she likes to beat down on some of the bigger targets, like the neutral buffs, like the Gromp. But again, that's after just 1 game of playing it. You don't have a full understanding of what it is. On the other side, though, Fever, they locked in everything meta from what you can see.
They did. They went down the LS tier list and said, which should we pick in this draft? It looks like Morgana's open. All right, it looks like the classic Xayah Rakan with their, 4 world skins, 3 world skins. Maybe we should pick those 2. And then we've got the Diane and the Cho'Gath. I mean, that's enough AoE damage. That's enough tankiness for a lifetime. What else could you possibly need?
And you really got to give them props for understanding like the playstyle that they want to go into here. I think what really impresses me the most is that they don't have any one particularly overly strong playstyle that they can pull off with this combo here. They have team fight potential with the Rakan and Diana. They have pick potential with the Rakan and Morgana. They also have the ability to kite using the Morgana and Xayah. And if they want to do a straight up front to back team fight, Cho'Gath is one of the best tanks in the game for that style of gameplay. And then you have the support of Rakan Morgana as well. Really, everyone here is synergizing so well, and they can try and go with any particular style that they want to play based off of this composition.
Yeah, I am looking to see where is the Morgana and the Diana going. So far, it does look like it is going to be the Morgana jungle, Diana mid, but that is yet to be determined as they are able to swap it later on. So, I mean, it will probably be the Morgana jungle, right? Just because of how much damage she still does to camps, as she's not nerfed for the 3rd time yet. The fact that she has to be nerfed for a 3rd time, I think, says something about how much damage she has done. But I mean, I'm probably expecting it to be that Morgana jungle, as they have hovered so far now.
I'm pretty sure I saw on Twitter earlier today that the initial buff was going from 150% to jungle camps to 200. And now she's going down to 155% after these most recent changes. So the amount of nerfs and how much difference she has actually retained over these patches shows you just how much people actually enjoy having Morgana in the jungle. And I'm personally happy to see this pick go.
I mean, I myself, I permaban that champ in solo queue, right? I just can't, I can't stand that champ. I can't stand anyone who plays that champ. I used to play that champ. I don't play it anymore. I permaban that thing. It's like...
You just feel gross playing it, right?
The last time I checked her ban rate, I think it was hovering around 80% in solo queue, and that is higher than Yasuo. When something's higher than Yasuo, you know, there's an issue.
When something's getting out is more toxic than a Yasuo player in your solo queue games, it's a bit of a rough pick. But looking at these compositions one final time through, I gotta ask you, Cam, who do you think is going to be walking away with this victory? We had countering ideas when it came to our stonk picks from before, but now that you've seen the pro draft, now that you've seen what these 2 teams are going to be working with, well, who do you got to give game 1 to?
Who do I gotta give game 1 to? I think if it does go to late game, I think Fever has it in the bag with this Xayah, Rakan, and Cho'Gath. It's just like, that's the ultimate late game comp that you really want, right? I mean, the Cho'Gath, past 30 minutes, he's gonna have 5k HP. It's like, you're not gonna kill him with the Tristana or the Gwen, because they're not gonna be doing the damage that you need to kill him. But early game, if Nine-Tailed Fox is able to find that lead, I think they will be able to close out very quickly.
I think I'd have to agree on that one. The biggest question for me here is if or whether or not the Tristana is going to be able to stay safe enough in these late game team fights to get the DPS out. There is so much potential for Gwen and Tristana to use Maokai as a frontline and survive through these team fights, and that they could easily pick up a mid game win here. The real question, as you mentioned, is looking towards the later stages of the game when Diana and Morgana have so much damage, so much potential to just blow up the backline. But for me, I think I am going to give it the Fever just because with the subs coming in for Ninetale Fox Onyx, I don't know if they're going to have the communication or the compatibility throughout the mid game to be able to close it out in a clean fashion. But ladies and gentlemen, we got this game coming up in just a couple of minutes. Mac, Dewey, and Gungeon are going to be the one throwing it down on the caster desk for you guys. So Ninetale Fox Onyx versus Fever Game 1 is coming to you guys in just a couple of minutes. Do not touch that browser. Do not go anywhere. We'll see you guys soon.
Hello, Summoners. Welcome back onto the Rift for some more Mid-League Excellency action. It's week number 3 as 8th seed Nine-Tailed Fox Onyx are facing off against the 4th seed Fever. Nine-Tailed Fox Onyx trying to turn around their season while Fever trying to recover after a rough week 2 places them in the middle of the standings. Gungeon, after the draft, we see that Fever going back to a lot of comfort picks while Nine-Tailed Fox Onyx trying to make the most out of their substitute roster.
Yeah, and it looks like, again, both of these teams are trying to recover from a really tragic week 2 where both of them ended up going 0-3 for the side of Ninetail Fox and 1-2 for the side of Fever. And both of them are trying to recover, but there might be a little bit of a play.
Oh my goodness, Flash coming through. Merlix, he wants this first blood. Rice every meal going to be able to flash away though, Gunjin, as these are quite a few summoner spells being used in the bot lane early. We see the junglers, both of them, Zangi on the Morgana, Popo on the Gwen, starting on the top side of the map.
The flash gets used, and it's going to be a really rough lane for the side of this lovers duo bot lane, especially because Rakan isn't going to have those health pots to try to sustain. So any engage that Merlix takes, especially after that ignite cooldown is up in 3 minutes, will be really detrimental in that bot lane. Again, in terms of both of these team comps, I think that both of them kind of built a really solid new age team comp. That's kind of what I'm kind of phrasing is at this point, where it's just, you see these team comps where, again, there's a lot of AP junglers in the meta right now, just to kind of substitute with some of the AD picks that we're seeing in the mid lane, like the Tristana flex, as well as some of the top AD top laners. But the Gwen pick, I think, is going to be really exciting to see, because I think she's a really volatile champion. And why I say that is because she can really shut down some characters and make them almost impossible to play against, as Leona does end up missing the hook, but it will just be a little bit of a trade back and forth. But back to the Gwen point. She can make some characters impossible to play, but mid lane, binding lands.
Zangi finds his mark, and JTB is going to be picking up first blood.
What a great gank by Zangi. He's able to just clear out his top side, and Lori did not expect that Zangi would be ganking from that top end. She was kind of just hovering around that top side, expecting Zangi to most likely clear his blue buff as that Morgana jungle. Zangi catches her by surprise, and a first blood for the side of Fever. Great play by Zangi to kind of subvert expectations, as some people would like to say.
Right. I remember Icarus talking about on the analyst desk how this Gwen jungle for Popo is going to have a really slow clear, and it's nice to see Zangi not only picking up that first blood, but he's getting the bottom side scuttle. Stubby right now rotating down the top lane river. I don't know if Popo's going to be able to find any scuttles early in the game, as we see the bottom lane attention from this Fever squad is going to first Jerebleu and Merlex to back off.
It forces the bot lane to back off, and as well, I think that back on that Gwen point, I think that the Gwen definitely is a slow clearing champion, obviously, compared to the Morgana, who's kind of just kind of burns down jungle camps, to be honest. Takes out jungle camps then left and right. But the big thing is that Morgana, and unlike other champions, can't really punish the Gwen at all. She can kind of get the camps, try to make some ganks happen, but as long as Ninetailed Fox don't fall too far behind, I think this Gwen really does have space to really take off, and especially against a Cho'Gath. Cho'Gath we think of as this super tank, 5,000 health, never will die. Gwen just snipped him down to size right after left, and so I'm excited to see how that kind of goes as the game kind of scales up, but we are going to see a gank top lane.
Stubby Gunjin, he's out of mana and nowhere really to run. He's gonna try to flash away. Popo wanting to follow him, and look at the snips come through. That's gonna be a quick kill picked up in the top lane for the side of Ninetailed Fox Onyx.
Yeah, snip, and Stubby right there was just playing a little bit too aggressive. He had the ward in that blast cone bush, try to get some ganks out, but Popo was just able to kind of hop the walls, get through the vision, and he felt like he was safe, and Hydra Master kind of baited it perfectly, because the entire time they were trading, Hydra was constantly Wing in, so Stubby's like, I don't even need to flash right here, gets caught by Popo, and great response kill for the side of Popo, kind of allowing that Gwen to get into that scaling situation where she can get some kills.
We see the Ninetailed bot lane, Merlex barely missing that Zenith Blade. Rice every meal. Got to be careful about trying to roam around the map. As Gunjin, look at the vision control coming through from this Leona Tristana duo.
They have the control, and it's mainly because they do have the push with this Leona Tristana bot lane. Even though the lovers duo bot lane is incredibly strong, as long as they can kind of take control and have that XP and advantage lead, they have so much burst damage, as we see against mid.
JTB going in once again. Zongi with another assist. He's just making it look too easy as Lowry, she's down 0-2 to start off this game. Evil Zara, got to be careful in the bot lane. Jerebleu, he's excited to play this Tristana after going 0-3 against it last week, trying to make this game a little bit better.
Yeah, and you can see that right now, it feels like Fever kind of have this idea, just says, punish the sub. And again, it feels a little bit disrespectful. It feels a little bit kind of bloodthirsty, but you got to get those wins any way you can. And obviously, Lori, she's coming in. She is the sub for this team. She doesn't have kind of the coordination and kind of the reps under her. And so they're just punishing her left and right, calling down Stubby to make sure there was no chance for Oriana to escape out there. But the top lane play, it should result in maybe a kill, but great play by Hydromaster to just tank it out. And Popo's going to get the kill. Great play by this top. Wow. Hydromaster just tanked that tower completely up, and Popo was just able to use his damage. Just you can see the power of the Gwen already, just cutting down tanks that you think would be able to survive down to sides so quickly, and they're funneling gold into her. You can see Hydromaster backs up, but Popo's like, let me get them placed and let me get that gold.
Right, so moving up from the mid lane into the jungle this week, Ninetale Fox Onyx again trying to make the most out of kind of this mishmash pit of a roster, and Popo on this Gwen could really make some noise. We see JTB looking for an engage in the mid lane, but Lowry Gunjin, she's invested her item portfolio into an early burn barrier. It's going to be tough for the mid jungle duo of Fever to work through that.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely incredibly hard for the Fever bot lane, but they're going to look for the play right here, and this is just going to be death for the side of Popo. Great play by Zongi to punish the flash that was down on Popo, and you can see, again, with Lori, she's going to be able to play safe. She's going to be able to make sure that JTB doesn't have that kill threat, but JTB is constantly pushing Lori into tower, constantly making sure that her mana pool is expended, and Zongi and Stubby are now punishing that, and with Hydromaster being on a reset, great play by the Fever topside to really punish this jungle and make sure that this Gwen doesn't become that scaling threat as of yet.
Right, that could be one of the possible win conditions for this Ninetale Fox Onyx composition. Right now, Directed Cam taking us down to the bot lane for a little bit. We got a potential engage. Jerebleu jumping in. Look at the Feather Storm coming out. The Blade Caller going to be flashed away. Jerebleu doing just fine, but Evil Zara and Rice Every Meal potentially looking to turn this one around, Gunjin. For the time being, the nine-tailed bot lane duo is going to be able to walk away.
Yeah, and it looks like that the Fever topside is going to be setting up for this Rift Drill. They have the vision control on that topside, especially with Stubby getting the push, so they're just going to try to force it down. But again, mid lane, JTB just looks for the engage.
He can just hop in whenever he wants. Lowry, she has no mana, is going to be caught by the Crescent Sweep. Meanwhile, Merlix, he knows there's no Feather Storm. Evil Zara, there's nowhere left to run. The explosive charge is dishing out a lot of damage, and Jerebleu shows them how it feels on the Tristana. That's going to be a kill going over to the Ninetale bot lane.
And that bot lane play was really clean by Jerebleu and Merlix. They knew that the cooldowns like the Exhaust and the Xayah ultimate had already been expended. They make the play happen, and they needed to make that play happen because it felt like, especially in the mid side right now, it's getting out of control. And with that Rift Herald already been picked up for Zongi, there is a chance that they could just blow up that mid lane tower, unlock JTB to go to the side lanes, and you do not want to meet a 3-0 Diana right now. There's not enough items on anybody to deal with her, and really smart that the bot lane for the side of Ninetales Fox is trying to get some sort of advantage so that there's no expedited lane position, because if this game gets really quick and really fast, then I would give it to the side of Fever because their champions are really good at these skirmish fights. You have the Rakan, you have the Morgana, you have the Diana that's fed. They can really kill you in these small chokes and in these 2- and 3-man fights.
Let's see, the top side of the map definitely going the way of Ninetailed Fox Onyx throughout this early game, and even finding some stuff in the bot lane. It is a 1-dragon lead right now for Fever, as they're potentially going to be looking to start stacking up those Drakes. The next one, Gunjin, spawning in about a minute here. Evil Zara, though, he might have stepped up too far. The explosive charge dishing in a lot. There's a rocket jump reset, and there is a solo kill going over to Jerebleu.
And as an AD carry, you can see why I banned Tristana and Senna. Senna because I just hate that champion, but Tristana because she's so strong. Anytime she gets any sort of even minuscule lead, she has so much kill threat with that bomb resetting the rocket jump. She's just able to jump on Zara over and over and over again, getting the solo kill. And now this is going to set up incredibly well as they make another play bot lane.
Rice Every Meal going to be looking to get out of the fight. Gunjan, I want to point out, Evil Zara in week number 1 pulled out this Xayah pick as a counter to the Tristana, and it worked out pretty well for him. 15-0-7, but it's a different story here so far against Nine-Tailed Fox.
Yeah, and it has been a pick that he has been favoring. He did have 2 games of it versus Divine Ascension Obsidian, where he did have a incredibly great scoreline. And especially, he does look like he likes it as a pick, especially against some of the Kai'Sa counters, something that she's been known to pick it against. But the play around bot side.
And Rice Every Meal going to be able to get out the Dark Binding, going to connect. Zongi is a sniper in this game as JTB gets the shutdown. They're looking for the kill. It's a double as JTB on the Diana is going to be 5-0 through 12 minutes in this game. He's popping off.
And what I love so much about Zongi in this place is he knows exactly what his role is. He lands the bindings, he deals the damage, and the second that the kill looks like he could secure it, he walks immediately away, funneling as much gold as they can into JTB right now. JTB is sitting on 5,000 gold. He's sitting on 1,800 gold, so he's going to be able to finish off his first item. And now it gets scary because he's going to be able to burst out any single member he wants to. Ooh, close.
Flashes traded in the mid lane. Stubby feeling himself a little bit on the Cho'Gath is going to have to be careful going back up to the top lane with no mana available. We've seen this story before, but he's going to take the safe route with the explosive cone. It looks like Popo isn't feeling another dive just yet as the minions have successfully been crashed into the turret.
And I like the Proto Belt pickup from JTB in the initial end. It does kind of provide him the ability to really stick onto either Lori or in Jerry, and when he gets into the sideline situations, maybe onto Jerebleu and Popo. I don't think that it has the innate burst damage like a Night Harvester or one of those items that Diana really likes to build, or some of the mana issues that Diana does face, but I think we can kind of see what JTB's game plan is. Burst every single person on the enemy team, make sure that Hydra Master doesn't even get to stick on top of me. Who's Hydra Master going to protect if everyone else is dead? And that's kind of what the game plan he's going for. And he has his main man and backup and sidekick Zongi kind of sitting right by him, as he's also sitting on a really strong scoreline of 1-0-4, 13 minutes in. And for the side of Nine-Tailed Fox, right now you really need to look on Jerebleu and Popo with this Tristana and this Gwen pickup to really kind of take over as we get into this mid game, because right now, 13 minutes in, it's already 2 dragons for the side of Fever. And if you get into these dragon stacking situations, especially against an Infernal Dragon, if there's an Infernal Soul on Diana, I promise you 95% that Fever will take this win.
The burst damage would be absurd, and given how ahead JTB is already, it's really the prime game for him to stamp his name in mid-league here as a serious mid-lane star that teams really should be worried about headed into each and every match against Fever. So far, already picking up 5 kills, a really nice start. We get another fight, though, in the bot lane, Gunjan, as Merlex flashing away from the Featherstorm. It's going to be a big cooldown used. It's a 3-on-3 right now as JTB maybe got a pick in the mid lane. Lowry, health bar going real low. The second dash coming through, and he is dominating. Teleports both top laners here for the bot lane fight. Stubby is tanky, but he's quickly going low there. He's finally getting taken down, but Rice Every Meal popping off. There is the grand entrance Fever have been looking for. Popo gets taken out next. Here is JTB. The carry is here. The root connects. Zongi is absolutely popping off while JTB goes godlike, and Fever pick up a total of 4 kills.
And they call Hydra Master's TP almost immediately to try to make the play happen, but they just didn't have the cooldowns to try to stick onto either Evil Zara or onto Zongi. They tried to make the play, but it just looks like it's almost desperation. They're looking for Hydra Master, just kills the Evil Zara. I was not expecting that play at all. I should have been a little bit more excited, but great play from the Maokai, solo killing the Xayah there, and you can see as an AD carry main, I hurt for Evil Zara, but for the side of Fever, another great pickup and a great fight for their team. They're using the advantage that they've picked up from the early game with JTB and Zongi being so incredibly strong. And in that fight, when Jerebleu tried to jump, when Popo tried to jump in, they immediately got exhausted for the side of Popo. There wasn't enough damage to stick onto Evil Zara. Great play, and now this really opens up the game because this bot tower is open. You can now rotate the Lovers bot lane into any of these lanes, and the problem becomes that JTB gets to sit in the side lane, and that's scary.
ATB making his home in the side lane, well known as Lowry. She's going to be knocked up and chomped out of the lane, sent back to base. This is the Rift of Fever now, as in 60 seconds, they're potentially looking at Soul Point Gunjin, and they're sitting with a 3k gold lead. Popo trying to answer with this Rift Herald. The bot lane for Fever are around to watch the spectacle, but that's going to be an objective. If they remember to pick up the eye, Merlex is going to be snagging that for the Ninetale Fox Onyx comp. They don't have any turret plates to pick up, though, with old Shelly.
Yeah, they end up getting a reconciliation prize on the top side with that Rift Herald pickup. The big problem is that the lane states right now for the side of Ninetale Fox are absolutely destroyed because nobody can match JTB in the side lane. He gets free power damage anytime he basically just decides to go there, and for the side of Fever, you can really choke out Ninetale Fox because right now, Hydromaster is just not strong enough. They're going to drop Rift Herald mid, but this might be scary because they have the flank.
They're looking to pick up this mid outer turret. Shelly's able to headbutt it off. Here comes the engage. Rice every meal knocks up two. JTB coming in. The damage. Evil Zara trying to stay alive, but he's knocked up for the moment. Jerebleu popping off, meanwhile, has one rocket reset. Zongi getting real low. The Kraken Slayer doing work on the Morgana jungle. JTB goes legendary once more as he looks to clean up the fight. Gunjin, it was all over the place, but it's 3 for 2 in favor of Fever. Now with their sights potentially on this next dragon.
It was a close fight, but they lose the positioning around this Infernal Drake, and it becomes scary and scary because now they're going to have to face check into JTB, who's sitting on that pink ward. It just gets scarier and scarier because they are making good plays. They are looking for good positions, but when your mid laner is this far behind, even when she lands a full combo, it does absolutely nothing to the side of JTB, and he's such a monster that anytime he basically goes into a fight, it becomes a lost position for the side of Ninetale Fox. They really need to try to get on top of him and burst him out, and in terms of these team fights, Rice every meal is having such great quicknesses into knock-up situations. They are going to start the dragon, but Fever is right there to respond with the Cho'Gath ulti coming up.
Evil Zara is on the top side of the map. It looks like Fever don't want to fight over this dragon. They're going to let this one go. In Nine-Tailed Fox Onyx, Gunjin finding a little something on the map. That's a turret going their way just before that big fight. And now they pick up Dragon, still sitting at a 3k gold deficit. Things not getting worse for them just yet.
And that's kind of a head-scratching play for the side of Fever there. They had the positioning. If they wanted to contest that fight, they could have just recalled JTB and just have him run from the fountain to try to fight over that Infernal Drake, where they had such a good position. They had the fact that Lori didn't have ultimate. Jerebleu was already chunked out, but they decided to look for a pick. They don't end up getting the pick, and they don't get up the dragon. And again, you're going to say that it's not that big of a deal, just giving over one dragon, but it sets the pace of the game so much further behind, because now, for the side of Ninetale Fox, they can just sit and wait until that Infernal Soul fight. They have now 10 minutes of time to get Lori one more item, to get Jerebleu one more item, and the longer and longer you try to extend out these games, the scarier it gets, because again, there is a Gwen win condition. As much as Gwen has been a troll pick for the first couple weeks of her release, she does deal damage, and when you have this frontline composition, Rice, who does struggle to kind of CC lock down the Gwen, it can get really scary, but that does mean that in these fights, JTB will have to get focused, because right now, the 8-0-2 Diana is going to be absolutely bursting anyone she meets.
Still waiting for that 2-item power spike. Evil Zara on the Xayah is there with the Kraken Slayer complete. Fever maybe potentially going to be looking for a fight around this Baron Nasher setup, as the objective spawns could look for something. Hydra Master has to be careful about the rotations, but look at JTB, not what you would want to see in the bush. He quickly takes down Lowry as she didn't stand a chance, Gunjin.
And you can say down with the quickness right there as Lord. Oh no! Hydra. Oh my god, sorry, that scared me right there. Hydra Master just flashes into the wall. He was trying to make an engage happen, but again, this is the problem with having JTB this strong. Nobody can match her, so they're having Hydra Master kind of hold the silent versus Stubby, but that means that you eventually have to have Lori go out there to try to get some farm, but they're just gonna look to dive the Maokai.
If a tree falls in the top lane and no allies are there to see it, does it make a noise? Well, Fever going to be picking up a tower in both the top and bot lane as this squad extends their gold lead to 5,000.
They extend the gold lead, and you can now see they're kind of extending their vision lead as well, as they have this entire topside jungle kind of cleared out. They should know from the side of Ninetale Fox that they are on this Baron, as this Baron
can't see it.
Fully cleared out, but they're not going to walk over at all. They should have vision, but it looks like Ninetale Fox is just going to let this go and trade for the mid lane inhibitor tower, feeling that they can't fight, and so they're just going to at least
they don't
try
have
to
minions
for something, but Rice cuts the wave. What a great play by Rice.
Rice preventing the mid lane turret from falling down. The next Infernal Drake going to be spawning in just about 100 seconds, Gunjin. That's really all Ninetale Fox Onyx have to work with in terms of trying to managing this power play from Baron Nashor, as well as trying to extend this game, try to not lose as much as possible. But as you mentioned earlier, very importantly, they picked up the one dragon from earlier. Jerebleu gets the Pog Scuttle Crab away from JTB. They're not out of this game just yet, but Fever are playing to their strengths. They're finding big objective pickups and really not making too many mistakes.
And they're not. No, they aren't. Sorry, my words are kind of getting caught on me because I was looking at the builds of a lot of these champions, and I looked at the Gwen's build, and I saw the Sunfire cape, and that has me kind of puzzled because right now, I understand the idea of just being tanky and getting as much consistent damage out, because that is what Gwen does. She's not a burst character.
Yep.
But with how the situation is big.
Evil Zara gets absolutely exploded. The teleport's going to be coming in now. Stubby stuck in a 1v5 situation, and he's going to try to flash away from this one. Rice Every Meal waiting on the wings. Right now it's a 4v5 on the map, but he wants to try to press the go button. Jerebleu rocket jumping away. Here's the potential engage. JTB finds everyone, but Ninetale Fox Onyx, they're hanging on. They're not dead just yet. Jerebleu finds the shutdown onto JTB. This is going to be the fight that they absolutely obliterate Fever, losing 5. It's a clean ace as the Ninetale Fox Onyx sub squad is making the game work.
Ninetale Fox get a great team fight, and Fever are just way too over aggressive. You can see that confidence. Again, it makes it so they can take these great gold leads in the early game, but why are you looking to make an engage when your AD carry has just fallen? You have to pretty much overextend to try to get Rice into the team comp. Hydra Master catches him immediately, and the fight goes awry. It looked like JTB was going to pull that fight out of the jaws of defeat right there with a Diana ulti, but every single member on Ninetale Fox pretty much just said, I'm hitting the flash key, I'm hitting the W key. They got right out of there, and JTB gets bursted. Not only do they pick up the dragon, only do they now send it to a position where it is 2 dragons split, and now we have 10 more minutes until that Infernal Soul win condition comes up, but also Jerebleu picked up 1,000 gold shutdown from JTB. He went back, picked up an entire completed LDR plus a crit cloak. He is huge, and now the game is dead even.
Not there anymore for Fever, as that fight is going to cost them a whole heck of a lot of their lead. Things looking grim now, as you were talking about, Gunjin. Jerebleu on this Tristana, absolutely massive. The 3-item power spike potentially gonna obliterate a lot of the armorless members of the side of Fever. They gotta be careful. Zangi only with Zanya's. JTB, he's all Octane, no defense. It's gonna be an interesting siege as they're still playing aggressively. No vision. Merlix once again finding the engages. Leona is godlike. Jerebleu meanwhile is dominating. JTB gonna try to turn it around. He gets the shutdown. shutdown he was looking for, but Popo gets one for himself as well. Zongi is caught. He's slowed down. He's rooted. Nowhere left to go. Can't buy any time as Popo's going to pick up a double kill. Nine-tailed Fox Onyx are turning this game on its head.
And Merlix is just calling down the sun. It feels like a solar eclipse every single time as Zara keeps getting caught left and right and left and right. JTB tries to clean up the team fight, but he just runs in for his death. It's fine, you kill Jerebleu, but Popo is still a carry threat. Even though he went Sunfire Cape, he still has the damage items. He cleans up the fight. They pick up the mid inhibitor at 25 minutes, and if you told me 10 minutes in that the first inhibitor down would be for the side of Ninetail Fox, I wouldn't have believed you. But team fight after team fight, Merlix is coming up big, Jerebleu is coming up big, and so is Popo, and it feels like this team is really gelling around the fact that Jerebleu is just having a phenomenal game on this Tristana pick.
Meanwhile, Evil Zara on the Xayah 2, 5, and 6, getting locked down and bursted at the start of 2 fights, Gunjin. That's all it's been for Nine-tailed Fox Onyx to find their groove in this game, to turn things around and to just about even up this gold lead. But Fever still up 2,000. JTB still 10, 2, and 2. A lot of damage on this Diana. We'll have to see if this sub squad is going to have the right execution they need to pick up this dub here. This is where the games get critical and the execution for error gets smaller and smaller. Stubby locking down Hydra Master in the top lane. Once again, the tree falling with no allies left to see it. And this is going to be an absolutely huge crash as Ninetail Fox now have to be careful on the map.
Yeah, Ninetail Fox has to be careful, and this is something that I like that Fever is doing. It feels like they're kind of were opting into a situation where they said, we're better than you, we have more gold than you, we're just going to force the team fights. But again, as I've already mentioned, they get the pick here. Rice Every Meal just immediately goes down. The amount of damage...
Alright, he's still alive here, Gunjin. He doesn't get caught out here. The Feather Storm comes in as well. He's dishing out a lot of damage, and they need him alive. JTB coming in with the shutdown. Merlix and Jerebleu, they have to run away as the Dark Binding connects. That's going to be another kill going over to Fever, but oh my goodness! Jerebleu, fire away, my guy! Picks up one, the dump gets interrupted, but he still picks up 2, Gunjin. Not jumping just yet, trying to get the speed up from Lowry. He's hopping over, he's found Zongi, that's another kill! Make it 3, not gonna be able to make it 4 as Evil Zara flashing away. Jerebleu popping off 12, 3, and 4 on the Tristana.
And it looks like they're just going to go for the end. They had the ability to go for Baron, but they look like they just want to try and get Nexus towers here. I feel like this is a little bit over eager because, again, the gold is completely even right now. So if one bad play here can lose you the game.
Jerebleu gets caught out. Rice Every Meal finds the perfect engage, and that's going to be Evil Zara picking up a much-needed shutdown, Gunjin, as that's going to be a whole heck of a lot of gold going over to this late-game Xayah. Potentially going to be able to finish off Infinity Edge on the next back. We'll have to see. Dragon spawning in 10 seconds.
And that is a massive mistake from the side of Ninetailed Fox. Jerebleu needs to understand that, again, it is great to try and force to get the Nexus towers there, but the game is still dead even. If you get a Baron, if you get set up around this Infernal Drake, that's how you really blow the game open and try to win the game. But they were way too close for Jerebleu to try and force. He gets picked off, and now this game gets to a really awkward position where without Jerebleu, they don't have enough damage. They are going to lose the Infernal Dragon here, and now there is going to be Infernal Soul point for the side of Fever, and it felt like Fever had kind of been dead in the water in these last couple team fights, but with that Jerebleu mistake, they're right back into it.
Stubby scoping out the area on the top side of the map. We see Jerebleu rotating up to this Baron area. All 5 members of the Nine-tailed Fox up and looking for this objective, and they're actually going to start it. They feel comfortable enough to go with this. Fever, they do have vision of this objective. Stubby, Flash, Chomp is available. He's gonna feast it and steal the big objective. Stubby comes up massive for Fever. He's gonna miss the rupture and just has to sit in the pit, but his work is gonna pay off in a massive way as Fever get the steal they needed.
And it feels like Fever just did 100 Thieves impression. They just stole the dragon, they steal the Baron as well, and now they're just completely back into it. it feels like Ninetale Fox is just a little bit too overeager. In these big late game decision-making points, they're just a little bit too over-aggressive. They didn't have to just 50-50 for that Baron right there, as they had already kind of chunked it down, but they are just going to try to look for the end.
They want to try to look for this pick. A huge Nature's Grass gonna mess up everyone. Zongi looking for the roots. A lot of damage onto everyone. A huge shockwave comes through, but not a lot of damage. Jerebleu gets taken down by JTB flashing forward. He finds Lowry as well. It's a triple kill coming through for Evil Zara, as that 4-item point on the Zaya feels good. Teleport coming in from Stubby. He wants to join the team. They have Baron buff online. Popo and Hydra Master just trying to run for the hills. JTB dealing so much damage. Zonya's coming through, but Rice every meal finding the entrance kill. Hydra Master now gonna try to just run away once again, left alone in a lane without any allies left to be found. 5 members now, Gunjin, of Fever are marching into the base.
They're gonna try to look for this inhibitor, and hopefully they just back off, because again, Jerebleu is up in 6 seconds. Glory is also up in 9 seconds, so they're just gonna back off, take the inhibitor, and this game is going spicier and spicier, but they have kind of reopened that gold lead. It is now up to 6k gold lead for the side of Fever, with JTB sitting now on the 3-item spike with the Rabbidan's death cap. They are scary, 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 but it feels like in every single situation, both of these teams are just playing a little bit too over aggressive. First it was Fever just constantly looking for team fights when they had the side lane threat that was JTB. Nobody could deal with the Diana, but they kept opting for the team fights. And on the back end, it feels like Ninetale Fox just doesn't have the experience in these late game situations. They keep going for these 50-50s, keep going for these over aggressive plays instead of just taking those incremental leads. They need to learn from Garen Buffett that the long-term play sometimes is the best play. But thankfully, we will be getting more and more spicy fights as Fever's just running it down mid.
They are grouping up. They feel strong enough with the inhibitor in their favor, with Baron buff minions going to be joining them in just a little bit. Look at Merlix looking for this flank. He wants Evil Zara. That has been their point for success. The shockwave coming in. Popo immediately gets deleted. Evil Zara goes godlike. They don't have the pick they needed. Evil Zara is slicing and dicing through the hopes and dreams of the Ninetale Fox Onyx comeback. That's going to be a huge interrupt from Rice every meal, as it's a double kill for Stubby, and this could be the game. Fever turning it around from the lowest depths of defeat possible. They find the ace in the team fight they needed, and that's going to be game 1 going over to the Zongi squad.
And game 1 goes over to Fever, but it felt like a fever dream, honestly, because the game was going back and forth and back and forth. And in those crucial clutch situations, Ninetale Fox just got a little bit overeager. Jerebleu got a little bit too big of himself in those team fights, and they end up getting the play as Fever just kind of runs it down mid, and Ninetale Fox go for this weird pincer attack, but Popo just got immediately eviscerated. Great game from Fever, but both teams are showing that they have fight in them. This game, this series will, or this set of 3 will not just be a sweep for either side, but will be a back and forth contention, and I'm excited to see game number 2.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a block 3. We're getting 3 solid matches on the ye old Summoner's Rift tonight. And if game number 1 was any indication for how the rest of this series is going to be, you better not click out of that browser. We've got I think we got an interview coming up between game 1 and 2, but I think the analyst desk is going to rein us in after that crazy game 1 before just that. So stick around for the Excellency Esports Show Mid-League Week 3 action still going on. I'll hand it over to Icarus and Cam now to break down that crazy first match.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're hopping into the post-game analyst desk, and what a crazy first game of the series to have to start this one off. Cam, what did you think?
Man, I'm so mad. It was so close the whole time. They almost pulled it back so many times, despite the Orianna having a really rough early game, right? Giving JTB so many early kills on the Diana. But I mean, the Tristana, Jerebleu, he's crushing it. He's really crushing it. Yeah, I'm so sad.
I mean, they talked about it on the caster desk, and if it wasn't for that one misstep, trying to go for that first Nexus turret there when they had the momentum, they had everything going for them. I think honestly, Ninetale Fox was setting them up in a position to be able to win this first game of the series here, despite the fact that they have 2 subs, they have their mid laner off-rolled to the jungle, and they missed their first 3 bans. They made this first game of the series extremely close here, and I think a lot of that is due to Jerebleu, as you mentioned, the AD carry coming in from Ninetale Fox Onyx, putting in so much work in that mid game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jerebleu was just absolutely smurfing that game. He was the fudge that they needed. It was so good. The amount of damage that he was able to do to the inhib tower, to the Nexus towers, even in the 20-second death timers that they were given to push the base, was huge with the Tristana fully stacked bombs. And I mean, they're penguins too, which is just absolutely adorable. It just makes everything better.
You always love to see the cutest of skins, but we can't focus entirely on Ninetale Fox Onyx because Fever are the winners of this first game of the series here. And if we're going to be looking at Fever, we got a talk about JTS. Production has told us that it's an S in German, and so I've been getting the name wrong, but now everyone knows JTS. The Diana showing up massive throughout this game, going godlike in the early stages of the game as well, just absolutely making this Orianna's life a living hell.
Yeah, and it is also being told by Reduction that Ninetale Fox will have Typic back in game 2, so they will have their original jungler, so hopefully we'll be seeing a slightly less dominating early game from JTS. Well, it will not be a complete stomp in the mid lane, as it was early game.
Yeah, and when you have that easier mid-jungle synergy going on between, hopefully to see Popo go back towards the mid lane, we might still see Lori subbing in. We'll wait to see once Champion Select is started, but it's going to be extremely interesting to see what happens now that they do have your typical jungler, because jungler is one of those harder roles to be able to, looks like Lori will still be mid, but as I was saying, jungle is one of those harder roles to just kind of sub into because there's so much understanding behind the and behind, jungle camp rotations, how to pull off a gank, making sure that your timing is all on point and understanding how to track your opponent as well. So huge shout outs to Popo there for being able to sub into the jungle when his team needed him to, and do quite a killer performance on it, I would have to say. Looking into this next game though, what are you hoping to see change now that we're going to have access to the full 3 bans at the start of the game for Ninetale Fox Onyx?
I mean, it was a very convincing first game with a sub mid laner, your mid laner jungle, and no bans. So I'm hoping to see a much better early game and able to actually close out the game with one of those high damage AD carries that Jerebleu likes to play, like the Tristana, like any other champion that he's able to really pull out as much damage to towers or as much damage to champions as he was able to pull out.
Yeah, and it will be exciting to see how these two teams are going to be able to face off against each other coming into the second game. We're trying to wait to see if we're going to have the interview going on, if we're going to have that one for you guys in game 2. I think most likely after the second game, but it looks like we are going to actually throw it up for you guys right now. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got an interview with Jerebleu, the AD carry, the star performer from this last game for Ninetale Fox Onyx. Welcome back to week 3 of Excellency Mid-League here. My name is Icarus, and I'm interviewing none other than the AD carry for Ninetale Fox Onyx, Jerebleu. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm pretty good yourself.
I'm doing pretty fantastic. I want to start off with getting you to introduce yourself a little bit. Let me get your name, the role that you play, and kind of just how long you've been playing League for.
Okay, so my name is Jerebleu, Jeremy. I'm the AD carry of my team, of course, and I've been playing since season 4. I've been playing ADC since season 10, actually, so I'm kind of a newbie in the role.
What's your role like on the team? Who's your in-game shot caller leader? Who's your out-of-game leader? And what do you provide to the table as a personality?
Gotcha. So I'm the captain of the team. My role is to keep the team together. I'm one of the best in terms of team fight, of seeing how the game goes. So I'm the one who tells everyone who's on who, actually. Who's gonna take the enemy assassin? Who's gonna take the enemy engaged? Which person we want to die first? and then I'm gonna take care of the rest. I have a team that peels me a lot. They have confidence in me, and I can carry them till victory on every single game if it goes to the late game. Actually.
Here, and you guys have a 1-5 record. You guys, unfortunately, facing an 0-3 after last week. I just want to get from your perspective, how's your guys' team been handling this rough start? Are you guys taking it in stride? Are you guys still very positive, or have things been a little bit rough for you guys? Are you guys still trying to work out a lot of the issues?
We have a pretty positive-minded team. We're always hyped to do some other games, and we and our coach are working really, really, really hard to um, improve the aspects of our gameplay that is not good yet, which is our early game, basically. And I'm pretty sure we're gonna rock Fever.
I want to know, are you guys nervous playing against them? You just said that you think you're going to rock them. Do you guys have a specific game plan going into them, or are you just going to play your specific style and just have confidence that you're going to win?
Actually, we've been watching them, watching their players, how they play, and we are trying different game styles that we're gonna try against them. So we have a game plan. We have a game plan against their mains. We have a game plan against their kind of team comps. Everything's going on positively for us.
You know, we talked about Fever. We talked about your last couple of matchups. Are there any teams that you are particular are looking forward to facing off against? Is there any team that you're afraid of facing?
The one team that we are most excited to play against is, let me get the name straight, CBR Rush and No Fear Wolves. They are our top priority to face and beat, basically.
I've heard those names a lot. It seems like a lot of people are really looking forward to playing off against them. Is there any particular reason that you guys are looking forward to these teams?
To our eyes, it's just the both best teams in the whole category. So we just wanna beat them and prove to everyone that we can be the best.
Okay, so you personally hoping to get out of playing on this competitive team, and specifically playing an Excellency mid-league here?
Excellency is the best organization that we've seen so far. We're mostly trying to get better and improve as a team and trying to get on higher grounds eventually.
Hey, you'd love to hear it. Is there anything that you're personally aiming for? I know you guys said you had a coach. Or is there like any like in-game things that you guys are trying to learn? Are you using this as an opportunity to grow at all, or is this just something where you're like, we're just trying to compete and see where we land and continue to compete?
That's basically it. We're just trying to compete and see against what LO we can play against. But our main goal for now is to have each player of our team hit Diamond to see if we can improve our team play, meanwhile getting better at the game, basically.
Okay, so there's a little bit of like outside stuff that you guys are trying to get going on. That's always exciting to hear. Personally, I tried playing on a team for a little bit, so I was using it as a way to try and get better at the game. And I always love to see players that are still trying to get competitively better at the game, not just here to win.
Absolutely.
Any final shout outs, any social media that you want to plug, any people that you want to give a shout out to, your mom, your dad, your team, your dog?
Actually, our organization is following us on every step. They are streaming each of our games when you're not streaming it. So I'm just gonna give a shout out to them. It's Untitled Fox. Just try to look to come in our Discord, and we'll be talking to you on every step.
Hey, you heard it here, folks. If you want to get in touch with Ninetailed Fox, follow their games, follow their streams, you can always hit them up and try and get a hold of the Discord. But thank you so much, Jerebleu, for joining me on this interview today. Really appreciate you taking the time in order to be here with me.
Oh, thank you.